Hi, my name is LaPortia Collins. I am a doctoral student in the Agricultural, Environmental, and Development Economics program. I know that's really long. They should have just called it Applied Economics, but that's okay. I'm in my 4th year as a doctoral student. I am so glad that I sat in on the Office of Undergraduate Research Opportunities because she talked about a lot of things that I had on my list. So if you guys have any questions or as I'm talking, you can just feel free to interrupt me so that you can get your sort of questions in. Just a little bit about myself. I got my bachelor's degree in agricultural economics from Southern University and A&M College in Louisiana, so I'm not originally from here. And I came to the Ohio State as a part or as a result of the research that I did in my undergraduate years. So I was involved in Manners during my undergraduate studies. And when I went to Manners, you know, you go to Manners and then there's this sort of fair, right, where you see all the different places that are hiring for internships, the schools that are looking for people. So I walked up to the table for the Ohio State University and gave her my resume. She was like, well, do you want to come do some research in the summer? And I was like, sure. You know, it's just like she just basically said, come on over. So it's like, of course I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to travel to Ohio to do research. So I came here in the Summer Research Opportunities Program. So that's one of the main things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. The programs that the lady from the Office of Research mentioned to you, they are really helpful. The Summer Research Opportunities Program gave us an opportunity to get paired up with a faculty member. You were able to do research in an area that you were interested in, or you can even do research that was related to whatever the faculty member was doing research on already. So throughout that experience, I actually had an interesting project. No, I was not creating vaccinations and that type of thing. I thought that would have been interesting. But my research involved inter-household allocation. So we have this data set from Ghana, right? And in this data set, it described household expenditure patterns of husbands and wives. But it also asked them, okay, so what do you think your husband or your wife spent? So I got to compare their actual expenditures versus what their husbands and wives thought they were actually doing. So that was pretty interesting for me, and it got pretty interesting to see that, well, husbands and wives in Ghana didn't really know very much about what each other were doing. So I got to look at the family dynamics from that, and I was able to complete a research project. Just like what she said, it's the whole nine where you start off, you do a literature review, that type of thing, and you have this data, and it's like, well, what do I do with it? So I was able to ask some interesting questions, and from that research project, I was awarded a fellowship to stay here at Ohio State. Had not thought about it before, but they said, okay, we're going to enter you into this sort of contest as part of this research opportunities program, and the top 10 individuals or the top 10 research projects were offered a fellowship for up to 6 years. So my undergraduate research turned into an opportunity for me to have graduate studies. And from where I come from, that's not very common. So I got an opportunity to come here at The Ohio State University, one of the best or top research universities in the country. And then when I came in, our department was one of the top in the field. So it was just like icing on the cake. So once I got here, just to show you how this can progress, after I completed that particular project, I continued to work with my mentor and was able to get research that was based on some of the things that I did published. Okay.
That's the next goal line.
Right, and it's possible, it is very possible. So don't think that what you're doing as an undergraduate is insignificant, because you can get it published. Even as an undergrad, you can get it published. Yeah. And this turned into a much bigger project. So we looked at how their knowledge or lack of knowledge regarding what they were doing in terms of their expenditures and income was affecting their efficiencies on their farms, right? Because most households in Ghana focus on agriculture. And it turns out that that does affect how efficient you are in terms of farm productivity. Right? So that's just some of the research that I did. And they touched on a lot of different things, but I really want you guys to talk, just ask questions. So what interests you, what scares you about research? What is it do you really want to know? Is there something you're a little bit nervous about the process and you kind of want some advice about it? Because I know they're going to come in and shut us down, but I want you guys to be able to ask questions since you've already seen 3 presenters.
And don't, go ahead, ask questions.
Oh.
I have a question now. When you do research, the research is owned by the university, correct? far as they own the rights to it or anything that made the outcome of it, or?
I can answer that question. So, with the research that you do, the university does own your data and all samples that you collect, specifically because they're from whatever. So if it's from an animal or from whatever methods, materials that you use, or whatever project that you set up, that materials and all of those rights are reserved to the school. But you can take the idea and the principle behind your study and take it to another institution. I'm getting ready to graduate, and that's one of the things I've been looking into is taking the research that I have done with my courses, actually in particular, and taking it to Texas A&M.
Right. That's a very good point. Another thing is if you're using data, see that's great. So you were actually collecting data. If you have data that is sort of like a third party. So for example, for one of my studies, I have data from the USDA, Economic Research Service. That their data is basically private, right? So I don't own their data. Ohio State doesn't own their data, but I can research as so long as I'm within the confines of the agreement that we have between USDA, myself, and another project coordinator for my research project. I can continue working on that even once I leave. So it just depends on the type of research that you're doing and where you're getting.
The stipulations that you that are
right, any
utilizing
agreements
that.
that are within that. So if I were to publish something, I have to mention where specifically I got that particular data from.
Who negotiated that, you or your advisor?
For me, now I'm not sure, in undergrad, it would likely be mostly your advisor
Right.
pushing it. As a graduate student, I had to type up basically a proposal. And we submitted it to USDA, and my advisor was listed as a co-coordinator.
So for the undergraduate, what the question that she asked, who helps with that proposal, whatever program or department, so like for the Ohio State University, before you do any type of research, you have to undergo like a census. They teach you like a six week course of like how to, and it's basically online. You have to read all this paperwork, just so that you are understanding that any research that you do or any data collected and published, whatever, whatnot, it stays here at Ohio State, and that you mention the correct parties that assisted you in like whatever information you pulled from. So yes.
Right, and that goes for software that they give you as well.
As well, software, yeah, software as well.
Yeah. Any other questions, interest? Yes.
I'm just curious, like how closely did you work with like the faculty? Like, do you still keep in contact with them? Because I know like I've read a lot about the experiences that you had, but would you say like just being with the faculty actually helped you as well? Like, do you still stay in contact?
Right, so having gone through SROP here at Ohio State and having a mentor that was here and then coming back for graduate school, that was actually very helpful because she really, pushed for me, she believed in me, and like you develop that rapport with that particular mentor. So when I came back, she was sort of was like, well, I'm not really sure exactly what I want to do yet, but I know you, can you help me? Can you advise me as to, the rest of the process? So it wasn't just like only focused on research, but she also helped me in terms of what do I need to do to get on the ball in terms of graduating and that type of thing.
I can say for myself that for my first project, my mentor is my academic advisor, and she pretty much owns my life. As long as I'm hearing that, no, seriously, like she owns my life. I signed in blood. And then my second project, both the lab technician, me and her are close, as well as the person who was supervising me. And another thing I wanted to talk about, he was Korean. And so it was two American women in the lab that we were working with. Everyone else was Arabic or Korean. And so the dynamics there was kind of different. But I can tell you that people came up to me, other coworkers of his, was like, Yasmin, what did you do to him? Because he called me Yazzie. That's how close we got. I'm Yazzie. And he'll see me like, Yazzie, what you doing? What you doing, Yazzie? And then like the last day, like the day before I left, he came and gave me a hug, and I was like, I'm the hugger. So him hugging me, I was like shocked and like baffled. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I gave him a hug back, but like he's awesome. And if you open up to your mentors and people who help you, you form a lifetime relationship that nothing can destroy unless you stop feeding into that relationship.
Right, I definitely agree with that. And it's like she started out as being my mentor in the program. She helped, she offered for me to join with her to do this publication, which was based off similar ideas from the research that I did over the summer, but she's now currently on my dissertation committee as well. So
Yeah.
it's a
How do you become useful?
you know, those relationships really do matter, and it's, you know, doing the research helps you to network, but it also, I guess one thing that I wanna make sure, I know you guys are here that you're already interested in doing research, but there's benefits outside of that. So it gives you an opportunity to see if research is really what you wanna do as a career, but if it's not, it also gives you an opportunity to demonstrate that you have these critical thinking skills. You can work with software, you can take raw data and come up with something new and fresh. And corporations and the government, they will eat that up. There's nothing like walking into an interview and you have a portfolio, you have your resume, your cover letter, but if you have a writing sample with that, and it's a good writing sample and research that you've done, that will definitely set you apart. So, yes.
And so you're saying like if you do the research, like it's acceptable to take that as like a career fair or something like that?
Yes, of course.
That's
Yeah.
what I did was when we presented at nationals. That's pretty much what it was. It was a research contest.
Right, so you can present your research like you did at Manners, any of the forums that they have on campus. Even there are other opportunities outside of Ohio State where you can present your research as well. So you can do posters, presentations, talks. So presenting it is really a wide open sphere.
Now, I have seen where students are doing internships or research experiences where the company says, this is proprietary information. So then we would just list it as company X or something. So sometimes the research is proprietary and they don't want you to share the name or everything that you're finding, and they will let you know.
Right. I guess one example of that would be if you're using data from a large company or something. Right. So they may not want you to know which companies the data are coming from, depending on what topic you're researching. Any other questions? You guys are doing